Welcome to the Main Basketball Rankings podcast. I'm your host, basketball data nerd Lucas McNelly. It's a football themed show today. This year is the 10th anniversary of Medomak Valley joining the football varsity ranks. In that time, they've been one of the more successful programs, one of the more successful launches of a program that we've seen. They're going for their fourth straight trip to at least a regional final this year. So I had Ryan Snell, their varsity head coach, on to talk about the process of getting that program started, the future of it, all that fun stuff. Ryan's a very nice guy. He's a very opinionated guy, as you will soon learn. So definitely stick around for that conversation. It was a pretty fun one. Had a little bit of technical snafus in there that I've mostly been able to clean up in the edit. So if you hear that, that's what that is. So quick programming note before we get to that. With football season starting, the newsletter is going to go to, I believe, 2 days a week. It goes to 6 days a week, as you might remember, for basketball, but that's insane, and I can't do that all year. So we're going to 2 days a week, I think, for football and soccer and fall sports season, and the podcast is going to go to once a week, potentially twice a week. We'll see how it goes. So if you are someone who pauses your subscription for the summer or whatever, now's a good time to turn it back on. If you know someone who you think would like the subscription or just wants the free version of the newsletter, spread the love, tell them about it, and they'll love you for it or they'll hate you for it. It's one of those things. So those are probably the two options. So yeah, and if you I put this out there on social media, but if you're a business and you want to advertise in this space, go ahead and reach out. I'll put the email address, pop it up on here. And just send me an email and we'll get that sorted, because it's probably past time for me to try to monetize or put some small ads on this website, on the podcast, that would, make sense to the Mainers who watch the show. Okay, so all that being said, let's go to my conversation with Medomak Valley head football coach Ryan Snell. My guest today is the head football coach of the Medomak Valley Panthers and former Brewer Witches. Well, standout? Is standout the right word? Ryan Snell, thanks for joining me.
Yeah, I don't know about standout. Maybe, partial athlete many moons ago, but, proud alum, that's for sure.
Well, that's really the most important part. So actually, my first question was going to be, and I came up with this question today. I was like, I'm going to start asking coaches this. First of all, what position did you play at Brewer?
So I played football, basketball, and baseball. I played quarterback and corner, football-wise. I was a point guard because I couldn't shoot. And then played some middle infield in baseball. So,
all right. So how would Coach Snell game plan against young athlete Snell?
He would just go right at him, because young athlete Snell, didn't watch as much film as he should have. Didn't hit the weight room as much as he should have. And as I tell the kids, it's do as I say, not as I did, so to speak.
Well, they say the best coaches are the ones who weren't very good players, like your backup catcher types.
I would much rather be a great coach than a former great player any day of the week.
All right, so I wanted to have you on to talk about this program you guys have built at Medomak, seemingly out of scratch. So to back people up a little bit, Medomak, when I was young and growing up in Waldorf, we did not have football of any kind other than the guy in our church who almost played for the Steelers. That was our only football in town, and we would play touch football with him sometimes, and he would just dominate, as you might imagine. So is it 2010 that the youth football program was started?
Yeah, I believe it's 2012.
Okay.
That was Kate.
Okay, so that was started. I did a little bit of research here. Bye. Oh, I lost you there. Sorry. And so that was started by Naomi and Fritz Miller, right? Is that right?
Yep. Yeah, that's correct. So Naomi and Fritz had two sons, one of which was at the time playing youth football over in Rockland, and then actually they're both playing youth football in Rockland. One was playing club high school football at Lincoln Academy, which was called Lincoln County Youth Football. And yeah, they had a vision of creating a football program at Medomak that, ultimately their younger son could become a varsity athlete in. And yeah, they obviously got it done. Very impressive what they did.
Yeah, because I imagine starting something like that from scratch. Were you there for this part of it, or you were still at Brewer?
No, I was down here. So a buddy of mine, Jake Emerson, went to the first meeting
Okay,
they had, and Jake mentioned it to me because I had coached. I was an assistant at Brewer before I moved down here, and my wife and his wife worked together at my wife's daycare at the time. And so Jake, heard about this football program starting and mentioned it to me about potential of getting involved in coaching. And to be honest, I was skeptical because it's like, you know, starting a football program, like if it was that easy, it would have been done at Medomak 20, 30 years ago, whenever the school started. And, but
sure.
yeah, coming out of that. So I went to the second meeting they had, and coming out of that, I was like, man, like these two people are going to get this done. It was incredibly impressive. You could just tell by, their organization and everything they had planned that it was going to happen. And obviously it did.
What was it about them, like other than just the organization? Because you can be organized and can still, you still got to be able to talk a lot of other people into seeing this vision. Like, what about it was so compelling from them?
Yeah, just everything was so structured, and if you know Naomi and Fritz, they're not going to take no for an answer. They were bound and determined that this was going to work, um, and they're just absolute go getters when it came to getting everything done involved with this. They had a plan set up to start K through 8 with the youth program for a year. So that first year, coached the middle school team with Jason Stewart, who's still with the program now as our defensive coordinator. And then their plan was to add a high school club team the following year. Um, they were in constant communication with the school. We followed MPA rules right from the start. We kept track of kids' grades. We got permission from their parents to get their grades. We followed the school's grade policy when we were a club team. We did everything as though we were an MPA program so that the school would see that and gain their trust that this was going to be something that was going to be sustainable for the long term. Um, and just, yeah, they had a plan. They built a great base with the youth program and made sure that was there to start. Um, and then the high school team after that. So ultimately, the kids had a place to play, and they were starting early. And then I believe it was 2014. We joined. We were fortunate. Holton joined varsity football, which created an odd number of teams at the MPA level. And there was a bye week in the LTC,
Mm-hmm.
which was Class D at the time, and we got asked to fill that bye week. And then the following year, 2015, we were approved as a full varsity sport. Back then, you had to play 2 years of JV football to show that you were gonna sustain yourself as a varsity sport, and then you were eligible to become a varsity
Right.
program. And you also had to play if there was a class below you, you had to play down for 2 years and be playoff ineligible. So we were in D for our first 2 years and couldn't make the playoffs, but we knew that going into it, so it was what it was. Now you can play anywhere you want and be eligible for playoffs, play 8 man, play down a class, do whatever. So it's even in our short time, the game's changed a lot. So it's been interesting.
It has indeed, yeah. So how much of that, following the MPA's rules from the get-go, how much of that was to get the kids used to what they were going to have to expect or have to play by when they got to high school, if and when you're able to turn it into a varsity sport?
Yeah, that was a big piece of it, just to get that structure. They knew what was going to be expected. They just became familiar. They probably knew about the MPA and rules and everything from the other sports, from basketball and everything like that. We didn't have a ton of kids from the other sports because being a club team, again, there wasn't a lot to play for on the periphery. It was you weren't playing for a playoff spot. You weren't they weren't able to get a varsity letter. They weren't getting all conference awards. They weren't getting academic all conference. They were just playing for pride and playing for the fact that they were building the foundation of what would ultimately end up being a varsity program. I mean, I still remember Colton Spear was our first, real, big get, so to speak, as a multi-sport athlete at Medomak. He was obviously a good basketball player, and he played tailback and middle linebacker for us when we were a club team. And we were very fortunate that, by playing that bye week in the LTC our first year in 2014, some of the people involved with the Lobster Bowl saw what we were doing, and we were actually able to get Colton into the Lobster Bowl that year as a representative, our first rep from Medomak Valley, even though we weren't technically a varsity sport. So just little things like that were just huge in building the program, but also building confidence in our community and the administration and the school board to give us that approval we needed to become a varsity sport.
Colton Spear is one of my favorite basketball players because in 4 years, I swear that kid never took a shot from beyond the free throw line. Ever.
Yeah,
like in warm-ups, never. And he was like 6 feet tall, so you would guard him like a guard.
Yeah. No, he was a banger on
and he just never took one.
He did all the little things. He took charges. He got rebounds, and I'll tell you, he was a heck of a football player. He's still one of the hardest hitters that we've had, in our program's history. And again, we're whatever it's been, 12 years into it now, and but yeah, you grow up on the farm and get some farm work in there. You're a strong kid, and Colton certainly was that.
All right, so I'm going to take you back to that first year. So I found an article. There it is. Right before your first actual varsity game, talking to Ernie Clark at the BDN, you said, "We just made a decision as a group that we wanted to take our time with it. We didn't want to make the mistake of rushing it for the sake of one specific group of kids or something like that and then have it all fall apart. We've always said it's program first and individual second, and we've really stuck to that model." So that was 10 years ago now. How do you feel like, is that still the approach? Has that changed at all?
No, it's always going to be program first. I mean, ultimately, you want this to be around for a long time, and it's going to be like this program is going to be around long after myself or any of the players or anybody that's been involved with it or started it or anything is we're all going to be long gone, and this program is still going to be around. I firmly believe that they're still going to be playing football at Medomak Valley, and just like they're still playing basketball. It's just going to be a solid program and be there for a long time. And if we've maintained that mentality, and to me, that's the most important thing, really, or one of the most important things in building a program is having that belief that it's about the program. It's not about us. We've got a great group of coaches that are involved that, again, it's about the program, not us. None of us care about any individual recognition. We're not doing it for that. We're doing it for the kids that are involved. And, hopefully those kids love the program and they get involved in it in some capacity when they're around. And, we're a year or two away from having a couple of former players' kids playing for us, believe it or not, which is pretty cool, in our youth program. And, it's, we're proud of that. I think we have four or five Medomak alums on our football staff now at the high school level. We got 2 alums that are former players that coach our middle school team. We're getting former players involved in the youth level too, so it's pretty awesome.
But kids are kids, and we all are familiar with how the brain of a 15-year-old boy works. How do you get a bunch of 15-year-old-year-old boys to buy into that? Is there a trick to it?
It's constant, really. I mean, it's an everyday thing. It's hard to, again, talking about, mentioning me when I was an athlete earlier. There's a lot of times where I was a selfish athlete, and looking back at it as an adult, as a coach, I try to learn from those experiences. And when I was that age, I thought I was a great teammate, but you look back at some times, and you probably being picky about it as a coach now, but there's times I could have been a better teammate, or not worried about my stats, or if I made all conference or things like that. Um, so yeah, and it's we've talked about it with this year's team specifically, and the guys all know I'm a big Michigan fan, and obviously our colors are Michigan colors, so that kind of works out good for us with some our clothes and things like that, but mottos too. Like Michigan had a great shirt this year with "Team over me," and it's a great motto for this specific group. We got a lot of very good players on this year's team, and if they buy into everything as a group, we get a shot to have some success. Um, if they don't, and they're worried about doing, individual things and reaching individual goals, we could have a bad year. So, um, ultimately they want to win. They want to work hard for each other. Football is the ultimate team sport, in my opinion. It gets, there's a spot on the field for every shape and size. That's the beauty of it. And yeah, it's just a constant daily, not so much struggle or battle or anything, but just constant, day to day, just making sure these kids are focused on each other, focused on the team and what's best for us. And when you're out there on that football field and you're out there for yourself, that shows up pretty glaringly on film and to everybody around. So the guys have done a really good job of buying into that. They know what the expectations of the program are year to year. The senior groups always step up and make sure the younger guys understand that too. And we're only a week and a half into it, this year roughly, or 2 weeks, whatever. But they've done a good job so far.
Okay, so in that vein, in the regional final against Herman, you had to do, or you did what got to be one of the more difficult things to do coaching football and making a quarterback change mid game. So, how much of the team first mentality goes into that? And then what's the thought process behind doing that?
Yeah, it's tough in that situation. You just kind of, it's a feel thing during the game where, we wanted to get the ball in Gabe's hands in that specific situation. We felt it was something Herman hadn't prepared for or looked at because we hadn't shown it a lot, and just kind of gave us a change of pace offensively. And, you know, thankfully they hadn't really prepared for that, and it caught them off guard a bit, and we were able to, tip the momentum in our favor a little bit. It was a game that we had no momentum. I mean, we were down 12-0 at the half. They had the ball coming out of the half, scored again. It was 18-0. We really had, we just didn't have anything going for us. So we just made the switch. I mean, we had put Gabe out there in the first half, at least one series, and then went right to it in the second half. And it was just something that it worked, and it was, got the momentum going our way. We got fortunate that they ran a jet sweep after our first touchdown as well. That they had a little bit of a mishandle. We were able to jump on it, so that helped spin the momentum even more, and really get in our favor. And then, you get a crazy bounce on a 4th and 3 play where we thought we had a stop. The ball goes in the air and kind of falls into Max Hopkins' hand. They get a first down, and kid had an unbelievable game. He had 4 touchdowns for them, and he was in the right place at the right time. Made a play for him, and but yeah, that's never an easy decision making a switch, and but kids respond to that well. And we really highlighted Wyatt Simmons, who was the quarterback we made the change for in that game. We highlighted him this past Saturday in our scrimmage, and Wyatt's worked his butt off all 4 years. He really did it this summer, and he ran the ball just really, really well this past Saturday, and threw it well too. Um, and just super proud of him, the hard work that he's put in. Thought it really paid off well this Saturday, and the guys saw it. They were excited about it. Even had a bloody nose going at one point. Said, "No, I'm good." I was like, "Dude, we gotta at least wipe your face off here. We can't just leave you out there gushing." blood on the field, but no, wiped it off, wanted to go back in. He's going to be a huge piece for us again this year, and he was a huge piece for us last year. So it was just a game time thing that we made. And who knows, we could make it in a different spot. We've done it, it's highlighted more because it was the quarterback change. We've done it with running backs. We've done it with linemen. We've done it with defensive players. Obviously, at the quarterback position, you see things more. But we've had a ton of confidence in all those guys. Expecting big things out of Wyatt again this year, just like he did last year, and excited to have him lead us back there again.
And the Gabe, for those who don't know, is Gabe Lash, who was one of the Mr. Basketball finalists, 6'6", one of the better athletes in the state. And so if you can get him the ball, you try to get him the ball because he's going to be a hard guy to pull down.
Yeah, no, and he just he happened to catch fire that game. He hadn't really run for us much. I mean, I think we gave some looks at that against Belfast. Other than that, he'd been primarily a receiver and, had a few carries here and there throughout the year. Just happened to work that game and it worked out where we were able to get ourselves back into it and have a shot. It could have been, and ironically, we did that same thing. What was it, 3 years ago against Oceanside in the regional game? We actually brought Wyatt in with a QB change late in that game. As a sophomore to give us a different look there. So yeah, I mean, it's something we've done before. I mean, it's just kind of it's a feel thing as a coach, and sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. So yeah,
Is it a whole like discussion at halftime, or you just sort of look at the offensive coordinator and go, let's do it?
It's a bit of both. I mean, it's something that you prepare for. I mean, we want to be 3 or 4 deep at every position if possible. I mean, that's not always possible, especially in, main high school sports. You just don't have that depth, but you always have some stuff in your back pocket for situations just in case. Again, that was a feel thing where, we came out of the second half, we weren't able to get a stop, and they were up 3 scores at that point, and we just had to try something to see if we could get a little bit of a spark going. And again, it could have gone either way. We could have made that change, and could have just not worked at all. It could have been something Herman prepared for, and it wouldn't have been, wouldn't have looked great. We just happened to get back in the game and had a shot, so it worked well at the time. But yeah, it's a little bit of both. Again, preparation throughout the week, some conversation at halftime, and then again, after you get that third score, it's like, all right, we gotta do something here to try to switch things up, switch the momentum, because the field is really tilted at that point, and not in our favor.
And to be fair, though, you were down 18-0, but being at the game, it could have very easily have been tied, because you had a couple. I think you got inside the 5-yard line a couple times and just couldn't put it in. If I'm remembering the game correctly, there were 3 or 4. You mentioned the 4th and 3 play where the ball just bounced the wrong way. I think there were probably 3 or 4 plays where the ball just bounced the wrong way for you.
Yeah, and that's sports, that's football. I mean, we had some chances where we did move the ball and just didn't finish. And a couple years earlier, the bounces in that regional game against Herman, went our way. So some things went their way. They had momentum, and we were the 2 seed, we were the 1 seed, so we were the away team. But obviously being in Hamden, the next town over from Herman, we were really the away team. So it was
right
when you're winning in that situation and you're up, you don't feel as squeezed or whatever. But when you're down and you're on the road and you're in their backyard, it's again, you don't have a lot of time to see if things are gonna figure themselves out. Sometimes you just got to make some tough decisions, make some changes, and go with it. But again, our kids are mature enough that they can respond well to it, and they all know we have a ton of confidence in all of them, and not only confidence in game, but confidence that they're going to respond and work hard and come back even better. So yeah, just again, having that relationship with the kids, we know we can make some decisions and they're not going to take that personally. for the long term, and yeah, they're going to battle.
Now, I know you talked about this on the ticket earlier this week, or maybe it was the end of last week. I saw it this week. You've developed a nice little rivalry with Herman out of seemingly nowhere. I think the last 3 seasons, you guys have eliminated each other from the playoffs. What's it like to have a rivalry like that develop, and would you like to maybe not see them this year in the playoffs?
So actually, the last 4 years. So
Is it four? Okay.
yeah, I was fortunate enough to be asked by Coach Gallant to be on his staff at the Lobster Bowl this summer, and we've developed a good friendship over the years. Ironically, out of that rivalry, very similar thoughts on our programs and how we run things. Same. Our families are similar. We got 3 kids. They're all about the same age. Um, but yeah, 4 years ago, I think it was 21. We were the 1 seed, and they upset us as the 4 seed in the semifinals. And then the following year, 22 was the year we went to the state game. We beat them in the regional final up in Hamden. And then 23, we beat them at Medomak in the semifinals. And then last year, they beat us in the regional final. So, yeah, 8 games in 4 years, which is obviously the max. Super weird not having them on our regular season schedule this year.
Are they not? I hadn't looked that closely.
No,
Oh,
and
weird.
that was the first thing I noticed, and probably the first thing Kyle noticed as well. Not having them on there is just really strange. But yeah, I have a ton of respect for Kyle and that program and everything they're doing. They're impressive. Their youth numbers are unbelievable. I know their youth enrollment is increasing like crazy. They've really got a great thing going up there. It's a tough place to play when you play up there. It's fun though too. It's a great atmosphere. Yeah, inevitably, I would not be surprised if we do end up playing each other in the playoffs. It's just we always seem to find each other one way or the other.
And not only that, but the softball teams found each other, and the Medomak softball team got a little bit of revenge for you.
Yeah, softball. That was a great game. We were up at that one. Heck of a battle by both teams. I think it was 1-0. And then our girls soccer teams played in the regional final as well. Herman won that one, so we can't get away.
Can't avoid it.
No, it's just Medomak and Herman and everything. So we're probably I don't know if we have a chess team or something or a math team, probably playing each other too. So.
All right, so want to talk a little bit about Medomak as a whole. 5 regional finals this past school year, which is, I think, out of 7 sports that play in a tournament. So it's not a rich community financially. It's not a private school where it's like a Waynfleet. It's the oldest county in the state of Maine. And it's pretty far from the big cities. So what's happening at Medomak that's allowing all of these different programs to thrive?
Yeah, I think, success breeds success, and you got a lot of, athletes that are working hard, that are supporting each other. We try to make it to, soccer games throughout the year, both girls and boys. Basketball, everybody's at basketball all winter.
Mm-hmm.
To your point, we're not a rich community. It's blue collar, hardworking community. There's not a ton to do around here. So yeah,
No, there's not.
Go to those games, you support each other and you support the kids. A lot of time we travel on the road to do that too. I know football wise, we always have great crowds on the road. Yeah, it's just, all the programs.
All those mid-coast teams travel really well.
Yeah, very much so. Springtime softball obviously had a heck of a year, finishing out with a gold ball. Baseball had a heck of a year as well. Boys basketball, undefeated regular season, got to the regional final against York. Girls basketball was right there with Oceanside in their playoff game. Both soccer teams, regional final, football, regional final. Just great group of athletes in the school right now, working hard and just supporting each other. And, again, you see other teams having success. A lot of times that just rubs off on your team and they, expect to do well also.
How much I always make the joke with basketball that every so often Nick DePatsy will throw out a clam digger lineup which is just a bunch of like really like scrawny, strong, tough kids that don't necessarily look like they'd be that great, but you don't want to mess with them and you don't want to try to get a rebound away from them. And how much, because Waldorf, or the whole Lincoln County, it's a lot of fishermen, it's a lot of clam diggers, it's a lot of people like that who work on farms and stuff like that. How much of that is going into the success, especially at football, with like linemen and linebackers?
Yeah, it's big. I mean, you get a lot of pride there, first of all, with people that went to Medomak and now their kids are going there, or maybe their grandkids going there. So you got that, family history of athletes and expectations, and you're the next person up from that family to do well, and we're kind of creating that in football where we haven't had that second generation come through yet. And that'll be, a while, high school wise, another
Right.
10, 12 years before we get to that. But yeah, it's just, hardworking group. We always have multiple fishermen on the football team every year. The wrestling program has been huge for us. We have
Oh, I bet.
a lot of wrestlers out there right now. This year in particular, this group, we've got, I think 8, 9 wrestlers on the team. And
You don't want to mess with those guys either.
no, successful too. I mean, that have done real well. So, getting that, relationship with that program has been huge for us, translates well. Um, but yeah, just hardworking people overall. It's just, again, it's blue collar. We get that grit, not afraid to get our hands dirty, all those cliche sayings, but they're true around here. And that's just what, one of the big things that makes this program successful. We're not afraid to, do the little things it takes to have that success.
I would imagine, now that you mention it, that wrestling and football would be very complementary programs. I imagine a lot of what they learn in football has got to help with wrestling and vice versa.
Yeah, very much so. And I mean, even, Naomi and Fritz, again, who started the program, I mean, their kids wrestled. So it was kind of built you know, on the basis or, base of wrestling as well. Um, the current group all the way down into our youth program, they've worked hard in the youth wrestling program to get that built back up and going. Get numbers stronger there. Same thing with the high school. I mean, COVID really almost destroyed wrestling as a sport, with
Oh, I bet.
all the rules and all that. I mean, they didn't even have a season. So you went from, and I believe I could be wrong on that, but I'm pretty sure they didn't have a season. So you went from like no wrestling at all with nobody participating to trying to build that back up. I think they were down to like 5 wrestlers at Medomak maybe. Um,
Wow.
and they get a whole bunch now. So the people involved in that program have done a heck of a job building that back up, and that has helped us as well because we get a lot of those kids.
All right, so let's talk about Class C this year. So it's gone. I was talking to Andrew Hart, and he said it's gone. It's not north south anymore. It's just one. It's just one thing, right? One bracket.
Yep, yeah, we're statewide class.
Okay, that's what I thought.
Yeah, 13 teams, no regions.
Okay, so without putting yourself on a bulletin board, who are the favorites in C this year?
Yeah, I mean the big two big pieces that are coming into the class is Wells and Foxcroft. I mean, Foxcroft has had our number, and by us, I'm talking about C North the last couple years. They've been playing us. They played us. They played Herman. They played some others, and I don't believe any of us beat them. I think Foxcroft beat every single one of us, and they have a lot returning. Um, so they're going to be strong. Wells obviously has beaten Foxcroft the last 2 years in the Class D state championship and is good every year, no matter what class they're in. So without knowing a ton about Wells, I would expect them to be tough too. Levitt had a down year for Levitt last year, and the down year for them was playing in the regional final. So
I got every Levitt game wrong on my spreadsheet last year.
yeah,
Every single one.
they were pretty young last year. They have a lot back. They're going to be tough. It's Levitt. They're always good. We have them coming here this year, which is going to be a big game. It's exciting. It should be a great atmosphere. to get a chance to play them in the regular season is pretty cool. Um, and again, C North is where my familiarity is. I mean, Oceanside's going to be tough. They got I believe, three out of their five starting linemen back. They're huge. They've beaten us 2 years in a row, so they've had our number. They lose a couple guys in the backfield, but when you're running behind that line, I mean, me and you could probably have success running behind those guys.
We could get 3 or 4,
They're humongous.
maybe.
So they'll be tough. Nokomis has both of their running backs back. They didn't graduate much at all. They were young as well. Herman will reload. They're the defending champs, in the North, even though there isn't a North. So, until somebody beats them, they're the defending champs in the North. And, again, it's going to be tough all around. Brewer has huge numbers from what I heard. I think they have like 60 kids or something like that. It's crazy.
Wow.
Hamden's quarterback's back. He's a heck of an athlete. He's tough. Old Town's new into the mix. Don't know a bunch about them, but got to figure it out pretty quick because we play them week 1. So, and then again, those Southern teams, the South has won state championship in Class C for I don't know how many years in a row. It's been a while. I don't know if Nokomis was the last one from the North to win it. And if they are, I think that would have been like 2019 maybe or something like that, 2018. So it's been a while. So yeah, to me, it's from top to bottom the toughest, class in the state. And I guess I'm saying that because I'm in it, but you're adding Greeley coming back from 8-man. I believe Greeley won it last year in 8.
Yeah.
They're coming back and they're in C. I don't know. There's not a
the way you describe it, it sounds like A North in basketball when there were 13 teams, and I asked a coach with like a week left in the season. I'm like, so, and I think 8 made the tournament or something like that, and I was like, well, how many of these teams can realistically win the whole region? And he goes 10, and I'm like, but only 8 are making the playoffs. He goes, yeah, I know, but 10 of them could win the whole thing.
Yeah,
it's just that is it that level of just depth.
Yeah, in my opinion, yes. I mean, you got, again, we're going to go through the regular season. We're not going to all play each other. And, we're getting into the playoffs, and then we got to do it all again. It's going to be an absolute gauntlet, but it's awesome. It's exciting. It's great for football. And I know, traditionalists or traditionally people like the regions, the North-South champions, all that, but you're going to get the 2 best teams in the state playing each other for a state championship by having a statewide Class C. And, you're going to have the best state matchup that you can get.
You can just call the semifinal game the regional final. Like,
yeah,
there's no rule that says you can't do that.
Yeah, and they're in talks about that. I can't remember exactly what they're looking at or how they're going to do it. I mean, Class D was statewide in 22, I believe. That was the year that we went to the state game against Leavitt. And I remember, I think it was Foxcroft and Lisbon ended up playing, but I'm pretty sure they were statewide that year, and they recognized regional champions. So however they...
Or you could just name the regions. You don't have to name it north-south. You could just name the regions after, like, 2 players from the past, like the Bird and McHale regions.
Right.
And you just split them up and you're like, hey, we won the Bird region. Look at that.
Yeah.
There's a trophy.
And I'm sure they're not going to try to change a ton because with the landscape of football, I mean, we're changing every year. Like, again, with teams have the ability to play down and be eligible for the playoffs. Go to 8.
How do you feel about that, having not been able to do it when you were down in D for 2 years?
Yeah, I mean, I didn't overthink it a ton at the time because that's just how it was. So
that was just the rule. Yeah.
To me, I mean, everybody's got to take care of themselves. For us, like, I'll never say we wouldn't do it because there may be a time where we need to play down and get ourselves kind of readjusted. But at the same time, like, if we're playing down and we're going, 5-3 or 6-2, the class down, or making a playoff run, like, in my opinion, we would come back up, right? Like, if we can go 3-5 or 2-6 even in our own class, like we're going to have some down years. That's the reality of sports.
It's inevitable.
Yeah, you
Yeah.
always have to have a winning record or whatever. I mean, same with 8 man. I mean, 8 man's been fantastic. And again, everybody's going to do their own thing. But, the last couple of years we've had, I think, 6 or 7 teams come back to 11 man. And that's great. We've also got some teams with more kids on their roster than we have for sure,
Yeah.
who are still playing there. So it's like, you hope that doesn't affect some of the smaller teams there, and they kind of have to fizzle out because they're playing some of these bigger teams. But I guess what I'm getting at some point, like you gotta, again, in my opinion, if it was us, you gotta make a decision like, how long are we playing down before we're gonna go back up, or are we gonna just own it and we're just never gonna go back? We're just gonna stay here. This is what we are now, and we're just gonna keep playing down. And I don't think anybody's ever been told no either. And I could be wrong on maybe one or two have, but I don't know how many teams have asked to play down and been told no. So there's never been like a cutoff for enrollment for 8 man teams, or teams asking to play down still. I mean, what happens if a team in Class B is playing down to C and wins a state championship, or a team in C plays down to D and wins a Class D state championship? Like,
Well, it almost happened in basketball with relegation, and people were losing their minds.
yeah, and they changed that. So it's that fine line between doing what's best for your program and building it back up. But you can't blur that line and have it be to the point where you're just taking advantage of it, or you're just down there winning because that feels good. But the reality is you're not really playing where you're supposed to be playing. So, again, everybody's got to take care of themselves, do what they want to do. But I guess you can't get mad when you get some criticism about it too, when you just kind of living there. So, it's kind of both ends of it.
I always thought with the relegation stuff, especially, that it shouldn't be up to the teams, because most of the time they're just going to say, okay, yeah, sure, whatever, we'll go down, or we'd like to go down because it's easier. I always thought you should have like some sort of neutral third party go, no, you're not getting relegated. Like no, in basketball, we'll bring it back to basketball a little bit. You didn't need to relegate the Biddeford girls, because everyone could see that they had this great class coming, and the same with Noble had Jameer Rose on the way, already there actually,
Yeah.
and had already gone 8-8 or whatever in 8, 9-9, had already gone 9-9 in Double A. So you're like, well, I think they're going to be fine, and we would have relegated Nokomis the year Cooper and Ace showed up, and that would have been a disaster. They would have been in B, and they would have won the B state title because they were 1-17 2 years before that.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's, even though they have some of those rules in place, I mean, that's where the schools need to step in my opinion, and be like, no, we have a good group coming. Like, we don't need to go down. Don't just go down to, again, Biddeford girls. I'm not really familiar with them, but I know they played Oceanside in the regional final and beat them.
Oh, they're good. Yeah.
And I think they almost won states, right? So it's like, and
Yeah.
had that rule not been changed, are they going back up, or are they still saying, we're young, we're going to keep staying down and keep playing here because we're having success? Like, it might be fun for them, but it's not fun for the real Class B teams that are, supposed to be there. So I think the thought of the rule in the sports is good, and it means well, but there's always going to be instances where it's taken advantage of, unfortunately. And you know,
Human nature.
yeah, and if it's going to be there, the schools are, the schools themselves are going to be the ones that have to, like, look in the mirror and say, hey, we're kind of not doing the right thing here, or we need to, like, challenge ourselves maybe and
Mm-hmm.
play where we're supposed to and see how it goes. So
Yeah, because you have that, but then you have that team I just saw on social media. Some high school team just lost their 93rd straight football game, and you're like, at that point, like, geez, like, go down a class if you can. Just anything but that, because that must be so demoralizing.
yeah, and I mean, we had, I mean, this was a long time ago, and Dan O'Connell's talked about this before, and John Bapps had a huge losing streak at one point back in like the maybe early to mid 2000s, something like that. Like I feel like it was in the paper or Sports Illustrated or somewhere,
Oh, geez.
and they're in a tough situation, right? Like they're private school, but they don't. There's no true youth program for them. They don't know from year to year who they're going to get coming in as freshmen because you'll have Brewer Youth Football, Bangor Youth Football. Some of those kids might go to BAPS. They might not. Um, they had a huge losing streak, and they figured it out. They won a state championship. They've improved. They're good most years now. They're competing and they're doing well. So it's like you'll have those lulls and then you get out of them. But they definitely didn't lose 93 straight games.
That's rough.
That's a lot. Yeah, it's like kind of. I mean, I don't know. I wonder what that
It's like
was getting for a stipend down there. That doesn't sound bad. Eight weeks and then you're off. You don't even have to be in the playoffs and you get your stipend and get out of there. So
probably didn't have to do a lot of summer work either.
no, and if you win one game, you might get a statue out in front of the school. So.
Yeah, well, the Wiscasset girls had that losing streak where they had last won in the Obama administration.
Yeah,
and then they won this past season.
Yeah, I think we were following that. We were up at the school and they were playing. I believe we were following that during the day, right? Didn't they win at one of the islands or something like that?
It was on the island, yeah.
Yeah, so we were like,
it was like North Haven or something.
We were scoreboard watching up in our weight room while the kids were lifting on your site, actually, and we were like,
nice,
man, Wiscasset's going to get a win, so that was pretty cool. And that's a situation where that relegation thing is doing what it should. So, it was good to see them kind of crack that and get it figured.
It was pretty dark there for both the boys and the girls, where they were losing like 80-10.
Yeah,
and like, who is that benefiting? That's not benefiting the winning team, the losing team, the bus driver, anybody.
No, but it's still important. I mean, the kids need to have those activities and sports to do. You want to see them have some success, though. But again, playing those sports, I mean, is keeping their head on straight in school, doing taking care of grades, all that stuff. But yeah, losing by that much every night is discouraging for sure.
All right, so I'm going to give you a chance here because I think I know your answer here, but give me the pitch as to why teams, because there are some people who prefer 8-man for various reasons. Why should they prefer 11-man? Why are they wrong?
I mean, it's
purely on a football sense, not a like logistics of how many kids are in your program or anything like that.
Yeah, see, that part's hard because like the 8-man game is fun. Like it's fun to watch. Traditionalists obviously are going to love 11-man, but 8-man is great for in my opinion, for the right teams that need it. I mean, you got schools like, Booth Bay, for instance. I mean, they're under 200 kids enrollment wise, right? I believe.
Yeah, I think so.
Stearns is like same thing, down under 200 kids. It's not realistic for those schools to expect to have huge numbers and play. So having that option is huge because it's, really it's saved footballs in a lot of football in a lot of communities in the state and been an important piece for them. But you've had teams like, Morse, Greeley, I think Maranacook, Medomak, Dirigo, Mountain Valley, like they've all come back to 11. They went down to 8. They built up their numbers, did a great job working hard at it, and then got back to 11. And a lot of those schools have that, 11-man tradition. I mean, Medomak's had football as long as I can remember. Mountain Valley obviously has had some historic, teams over there. So just using 8-man as a a piece to build back numbers, build back confidence, and get back up to 11 has been huge for them. And again, it's an exciting version of the game. It's fun to watch. I just hope everybody's doing it for the right reasons. And I would hate to see those schools, those particular small schools, the under 200 enrollments and stuff like that, like, lose out on things because they're playing schools with 700 kids in it or whatever. That, that's
sure.
It's tough. And I know they probably don't play each other because I think there's large man and small man and all that. But it's, it's wide open. That's for sure. I know I got a couple players on my team that would be pretty fun to watch playing 8-man.
I mean, Gabe Lash at 8-man would be pretty fun.
Yeah, it'd be tough. I mean, I don't know. our running back might get 5,000 yards if he went down to 8 man.
He might.
You know,
He
we,
might get an 11 man.
and we played 8 man before. We actually played it when we were a club team. We played a couple 8 man games against
Okay.
club teams, and defense is an absolute nightmare to try to figure out. So
I bet. So do you think, I'll throw something off topic here for a little bit. Do you think we'll get flag football at any point?
I don't know. I saw that map that was put out there, and
That was way more states than I thought.
yeah, it's gained a lot of traction. I don't know if it's had any discussion in the state at a serious level, and I don't know that we have the student population to, maybe in the southern part of the state they could look at something like that. I don't know if it's played in the spring, maybe.
I'm not sure.
Yeah, I mean,
Honestly.
even if it was a spring thing, it's like, at a school like Medomak, we got 530 kids, 540 kids, something like that. I mean, if you put that in the spring, you're taking away from baseball, you're taking away from track potentially, with there. So it's just, you're not in a position enrollment wise to add sports,
Right.
at a high level. So it's tough. But Southern Maine, you never know. They got some bigger schools down there, and all it takes is a few schools to get it. I mean, look, you've seen lacrosse grow, you've seen volleyball grow.
Medomak has a volleyball team now
Yeah, I mean, you see
with the least experienced volleyball coach in the state.
Hey, no pressure on him. We told him, the expectation is undefeated, so he's good. Just kidding.
All right, two more things.
Yep.
One thing I ask everybody is, let's say the MPA gives you absolute power for one day. You can do whatever you want. They have to do it. What do you do?
Oh, wow.
One thing that you just wave a magic wand and it's a thing.
I'm moving the basketball tournament. This would get everybody fired up, but
okay.
The basketball tournament quarterfinals, at the very least, for every class, are being played at the high seeds home gym.
Oh.
We're getting some atmosphere going for those quarterfinal games.
Okay.
The regional finals are always awesome, big crowds. The state finals are always awesome, big crowds. If you go to a quarterfinal, Class D Monday at Augusta,
oh, those are rough.
It's not awesome, but the travel would be pretty bad. We always look at some of those play-in games. I think one year we saw Ashland was playing Jonesport, and it was like a 4-hour bus trip for a prelim game. So,
yeah,
not sure how that would work out for a Wednesday night quarterfinal. But
and they had to win a game to get that game to go get blown out.
Yes, they did
by Jonesport Beals.
Hey,
that's rough.
Get that quarterfinal game down at Jonesport. They can stay at the Jonesport Motor Inn or whatever the hotel down in Beals, and we'll get some atmosphere going for those things.
That would stretch me a bit thinner for tourney week.
Yeah, that'd be tough for the coverage people. So
it'd be a little tricky. All right, and one more thing. Give you a chance to hype up your daughter's photography skills. I see her on every sideline now, taking photos. Like, how did she get into that, and like, how's it going?
She dug a camera out and started taking some photos, and absolutely loves it. So we, last winter, I guess it was, when the Medomak boys and girls basketball teams were playing the tournament, messaged Matt and said, "Hey, Caroline would love to take some pictures of the team." Some of the kids had asked her about it, and so we got a media pass, and she was able to sit on the end line there and take some photos, and made a little Instagram page there to put some on from the different sports. And I know the kids at the school like it. She's done a couple senior pictures actually this year of some of the guys, so that's been pretty cool to see. And yeah, something she's really enjoyed, and the sports pictures specifically has been a big thing she's enjoyed. So she plays softball and basketball too. I'm sure if she could take the camera out there with her, she would. But
just strap a GoPro on her forehead.
But yeah, when she's not playing, she's usually getting some pictures of them, and really enjoys it. So
awesome. And she was at the Lobster Bowl. I saw her taking pictures there.
Yeah, that was a cool surprise. Of course, I was up there for the week, so I hadn't seen them for a week, and all of a sudden she's out on the field, and it was Jeff Randall was one of the players from Lewiston. His mom was kind of down there somewhere. Caroline filled me in on all this afterwards, but Jeff Randall's mom said, "Hey, go down or come down or go down there and get a pass or whatever it was." So, yeah, his mom ended up hooking her up with wherever she needed to go to get a pass, and she was able to get right out on the field. Get some awesome pictures, some awesome keepsakes for me and for a bunch of the
Nice.
guys too. So, we sent it to obviously Gabe and Porter were there. We sent them the pictures. All the coaches that I worked with for the week and a bunch of the kids that I met was there for the week with, and they really enjoyed those. So that was pretty cool.
Turns out it's actually really easy to get a pass for the Lobster Bowl. Like I tracked one down the day before, and then they were going to put me on a list or something, and I just sort of walked up with a book bag, and this woman goes, "Oh, you media?" And I'm like, "Yeah, sure." So
Yeah, that they're awesome down there. That whole experience was unbelievable. I mean, I've been to the game most years,
mhm.
fan and watching. Uh, Being a part of it was like,
Was this your first year coaching it?
yeah, first year.
Oh, cool.
I'd always Dan O'Connell again at Baps. He'd always talk to me about doing it and tried to get me to do it for years. Kyle had reached out last year, actually last like December, when he knew, and this was like not this past, but the December before, he knew it was going to be Class C's turn to be the head coach, and he was going to be doing
Oh,
it,
okay.
having already coached in the game, and just told me to figure it out with work, and so I did, and then I'm glad I did because it was just the whole week was just incredible. Foxcroft does a top-notch job, to say the least, of hosting all the kids and coaches for the week. BJ Robbins, Joe Hersom, the whole Lobster Bowl staff just puts on an incredible event. A ton of work for them goes into it, but they raised a lot of money. I think they raised over $230,000 this year.
That
Uh,
sounds right. Yeah.
between both teams and both cheering squads, and that set a record. So, yeah, what a great thing.
Awesome. All right. I've taken enough of your time. Do you want to make a prediction for your record this year?
0-8.
0-8. There you go.
0-8. Yep. 0-8. Old
The
Town.
Nick the Nick
Told the
DePatsy method.
guys, Old Town's got a new coach, and there's no better way for a new coach for a new team to start things off with a win. And they're coming down to Medomak week 1. There was a young coach at Medomak who did that, 10 years ago in 2015 with Bucksport and Joel up to town, and we were able to get a win. So Old Town to be ready, and if we're not, we're going to be hurting. So yeah, we're not looking anywhere past them, and we got to be ready for them. But if I had to guess on the whole season, 0-8, sure.
0-8.
Yep.
All right.
Like our
Exceed expectations.
just like our basketball team's going to be 0-18. So,
All right. Thanks so much for doing this.
hey, thanks, Lucas. I appreciate it, bud. Have a great night.
You too. Okay, that's the show. Thanks to Ryan once again. That was a great interview. Great talking to him. Best of luck to him and his team all for this coming season. That'll do it. This has been a production of MaineBasketballRankings.com, your source for the most comprehensive coverage of Maine high school basketball from Ashland to York and everywhere in between. This podcast is available wherever you listen to podcasts and a bunch of places you don't. If you enjoy this, please leave a nice review because it really does help out with algorithms. Tell your friends, tell your enemies. Thanks for listening.